Hello, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you're going to have a wonderful day. I hope you're going to spend it with someone that you love. And yes, it is a funny festival because, first of all, here in Eastern or Central Europe, we never actually celebrated it until we became a Western country as well. And at the same time, I think it's a beautiful festival. I think it is something that for once in a year you can stop and reflect on your love life, your loved ones, and you can actually exercise love as it is. It, especially when you read the story. I really like the story that created Valentine's Day. Let's take a look at the day, the energy pattern, and this is the actually no, I started using the Budapest chart simply because it doesn't really matter. But if you want to redo the chart for the exact moment of the Mars Pluto conjunction, you can do that. It is occurring in London at 6:05 a.m. and in Budapest or in anywhere in Europe at 7:05 a.m. And it's funny, really, how the Mars-Pluto conjunction, which is occurring in every 2 years, a little bit less, more than 2 years, but practically every 2 years you can have a Mars-Pluto conjunction. It is occurring, it is becoming exact to the minute on Valentine's Day, because we actually have three so-called sexual planets, Mars, Venus, and Pluto, and all three are prominent. If you take a look, you will see that Venus is applying to the conjunction of the Mars-Pluto conjunction. So actually, you have the three together. We are going to revisit this idea in a minute. And the aspects that are formed by these three planets are called sexual aspects. And besides that, you also like it very much when we see a Venus-Neptune aspect somewhere, because that's the romance aspect. And if you consider it, so it's not the sexuality of a relationship, it's simply that precedes it. I know this is something that we have lost in recent years, even decades, because nowadays two people meet at a party and all of a sudden they hit the sack, which to me really is so sad, because one of the most beautiful periods of a relationship is the courting, the getting to know each other, getting to understand how the other psyche works, what drives him or her. It's really a beautiful period, and the courting period. And nowadays it's non-existent. And unfortunately, when I teach and I talk about the romance aspect, they look at me and they don't know what it is. I do hope that some of you still have experienced what it is. And there is another combination that we consider a sexual combination, but it's only valid for men, which is Mars and Uranus. Mars-Uranus aspects are also considered sexual aspects, but not for women. For women, for both sexes, it means how to exercise the free will. Maybe that is why it became a masculine sexual aspects. So this is the space-time moment. Uranus at the midpoint of Jupiter and Saturn is still there, but I talked about this, so I'm not going to mention it again. But let's take a look at the conjunctions, because besides the planets themselves as archetypes that are important in a relationship, Mars, Pluto, and Venus and Neptune. And interestingly, of course, Pluto is the higher octave of Mars and Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. But besides those, there are two aspects really that I consider really important in a relationship. One is conjunctions and the other one is sextiles. Conjunctions obviously mean that the more conjunctions two people have, the more cohesion there is in their relationship. Those planets want to work together. They are next to each other, and they have this urgency to reconcile things and to consider a mutual development, like a fulfilling and nice development in their lives. And the sextiles are much better in relationship charts than Neptune's. Than trines, because trines are kind of Neptunian in my that was a Freudian slip anyhow, because trines simply give you harmony and blessing, but they don't really move. So they are beautiful at the very beginning of a relationship, but not really too useful on the long term. Sextiles, on the other hand, which are mutually helping energies, because the 2 points of a sextile, one is in a, if one is in an air sign, the other one is in a fire sign, and if one is in a water sign, the other one is in an earth sign. And water and earth are helping each other, because Earth provides a vehicle or a vessel where water can flow in, and of course, water is creating some kind of fertility for Earth. And of course, in the case of fire and air, air is what helps fire to really burn. So that's why, on the long run, you're much better off if you have sextiles in if you consider the inter aspects between two people, because those are allowing the relationship to develop and to have this mutual support for each other. That's what sextiles are. And so the two most important aspects will be conjunctions and sextiles. Let's take a look at the conjunctions of the space-time moment. So this is Valentine's Day, sometime in the morning. And I only show you here the conjunctions. And there is the Mars-Pluto conjunction is exactly at 0 degrees Aquarius, where the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction was in 2020, the big super conjunction. Every 20 years, you have a Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, and it means that the two destiny aspects are meeting and creating a new era, kind of a new balance. When we reset our stuff, we haven't been able to reset it too well, because we had Pluto also in the picture, unfortunately, but believe me, we can still do a lot of stuff. Anyhow, so that's the degree where the Mars Pluto is at the moment. And this is the exact conjunction. It's at 6:05 in London time, or 7:05 and anywhere else in Europe. And as you can see, Venus is still in Capricorn, applying to the conjunction. It won't reach the exact Mars Pluto, obviously, because it's still like 3 days away from it, but we will soon have first a Venus Pluto conjunction, and then a Venus Mars conjunction. So you see the three sexual planets within one branch. That's quite interesting. And then the other interesting factor was in this space-time moment that the moon, which is ruled by Mars, is exactly conjunct Aries. And Aries means drastically altered outward circumstances. And it means that, yes, the moon is highlighting these circumstances at the moment. If you look around, with wars raging and with all kinds of financial and economic difficulties, which are man-made, completely man-made. This is a concentrated, programmed chaos around us. The powers that be don't want you to be happy, don't want you to be rich, even not well-to-do, even not, they want you to suffer, they want you to give up your hopes, because then they can do whatever you want, but whatever they want with us. So the moon at this moment is highlighting these drastically altered outward circumstances. There's also in Aries, also the North Node Chiron conjunction, which is one of this year's main karmic astrological features. It will be exact on the 19th, so we still have a couple of days, but it's already quite tight. I will make a video on that, so I'm not going to elaborate it now. And we have a Neptune dark moon Lilith conjunction. All three Liliths are quite prominent, because if you take a look, you have the asteroid Lilith conjunct Pallas Athena. They are actually moving together. The dark moon Lilith, actually the asteroid Lilith is revolt against injustice. The dark moon Lilith is the acceptance of the curse, it's on Neptune, and the Black Moon Lilith is in an applying conjunction with Juno. You can disregard the vertex if you don't live in Europe. For instance, this in England is not going to apply because this is only for the Budapest chart. So, but it's also quite revealing that you have this there. So the Liliths are prominent, and it's also revealing that the acceptance of the curse is on one of the most transcendental energies, Neptune, which is higher universal love and transcendence and all kinds of esoteric knowledge. Also, you have the Parsathena Lilith conjunction. This is the asteroid Lilith. And these are two very single-minded and very independent archetypes. Lilith revolts against injustice, and Parsathena remains alone. So these are the modern feminine who doesn't want to be in a relationship and doesn't want to mingle, so to speak. It wants to earn its her due, but they are together at the moment. And then in Virgo, you have the Juno Black Moon Lilith conjunction, which again, interestingly, has two very diverse figures, because Juno is the official first lady, and Black Moon Lilith is someone who left the Garden of Eden but goes back to help the second wife. If you want to know more about the Liliths, go to my channel. You will find a number of videos on the subject. Here are the transcendental celestial objects. And again, just for those who don't know me too well yet, there are three types of transcendental celestial objects. Asteroids, which provide you with the personal karmic level, they are in magenta or purple. TNOs, SDOs, centaurs, trans-Neptunians, they are in blue. Those are describing our karmic wounds, how we receive them, and what we do about them, what can we do about them. And then fixed stars, which are not in this chart, are usually red. And those are higher dimensional worlds, not this dimensions patterns, because they are not part of the solar system, they are part of the universe. And they show us worlds where where the incarnating soul can go to learn certain things. In this case, we only have centaurs. Centaurs meaning trans-Neptunians, all sorts of trans-Neptunians and asteroids. On the moon Aries, you have Epimetheus, Dionysus, and Lucifer. Epimetheus is Prometheus's brother. His name means the one who knows after. And in karmic astrology, it's not something to be ridiculed. It's the notion or the potential or the trait, the craft to understand stuff afterwards, to sit down and reflect on what happened and draw conclusions. Dionysus, of course, is the god of ecstasy and wine. And Lucifer is the questioner who is constantly questioning God himself and showing him things that he believes God didn't do properly. And it describes our doubt in the perfection of creation. On Venus, you have Anubis, Freya, and Hylonom. Hylonom is a centaur that describes utter, total, inconsolable grief, which indicates that in love, somehow embedded is the concept of grief as well, because when you lose a loved one, it is a total annihilation of yourself. It could actually cause the annihilation of the self. Anubis is the death god of Egypt, and Freya, she's a love goddess of the Norse mythology, but she's also she's not just love but also a war goddess, something of the original concept of Venus. If you go back to Mesopotamian times, in Sumerian times, Inanna, in Babylonian times, Ishtar had the same function. So you have the three very strong archetypes on Venus. On Mars, Pluto, you have Zeus. Zeus, of course, is the chief god, okay, who can do whatever he wants. And on Neptune dark moon, you have Aesculapia and Boracese. Boracese, which is main protagonist in Kurt Vonnegut's Cat's Cradle, a novel, quite a famous novel. It was very famous in the 80s or 90s, something like that. And Aesculapia is the by the way, he's also a Zeus type god. And Aesculapia is these are the caves where Asclepius was healing the Greeks. On Chiron North Node, you have Chaldea, the priests of Mesopotamia who kept the Atlantean lore and actually developed it. And on Lilith, because if you take a look at the Pulse Athena Lilith conjunction, it's really not very tight. And all these transcendental celestial objects only have a 1 degree orb. So when the conjunction has a bigger orb, obviously some of the asteroids and centaurs are not going to be conjunct one, only the other. Of course, the whole thing is working together, but still. So in this case, Pulse Athena doesn't have any, and Lilith has Prometheus, the one who knows before, so he's the brother of Epimetheus. You have two brothers, both brothers in this chart. Hidalgo, who was he was a revolutionary in the Mexican War, and Lilith is revolt against injustice, and Hidalgo is another revolutionary figure. And Erato is erotic, the muse of erotic poetry in Greek culture. And on Black Moon, you have Merlin, a sorcerer, of course, and Orcus, which is a Plutino, a centaur, or not a centaur, it's actually a TNO, but as I mentioned many times, in comic astrology, we just like in regular mythology, regular astrology, we say planets, and we include the sun and the moon when they are actually luminaries. We say centaurs, and we include all sorts of different labels like TNOs, SDOs, Plutinos, whatever. And Plutinos are in orbital resonance with Pluto. They have practically the same orbit, 250 years, and they are all kind of dark underworld gods and figures. And Orcus is the Etruscan god of the underworld, and he has two main functions. He is the punisher of broken oaths and also the keeper of hidden treasure. So those are our transcendental objects. And I'm going to show you some of the sextiles, because as I said, sextiles are really the most important besides conjunctions in a synastry. The more sextiles you have, the more the relationship is able to develop on the long run. There are many of them, and I'm going to only look at the really important ones. First of all, we do have a sun-moon sextile. You may remember about 10 days ago, we had the T-square between Chiron, Venus, and the nodes. And yeah, love hurts, we said. And in that chart, there was also a sun-moon sextile, but it was the last quarter moon. And in this case, it is the crescent moon already. So the sun and the moon, again, Heroes Gamos, it's the perfect match between feminine and masculine, the sacred marriage symbolism. Of course, the sacred marriage is the new moon, but sextiles provide almost exactly the same energy. And there's also the Sun Aries sextile, which highlights drastically altered outward circumstances in a double way, because the moon is already there and then the sun gives the sextile. The Mercury North Node sextile provides us with a potential to have a joint destiny choice by understanding it, Mercury, or talking about it. The Venus-Neptune sextile is beautiful. There's romance in the air, thank God. But the Venus dark moon Lilith sextile is something sinister in a way, because it shows that love actually could contain a lot of negative energies and a lot of negative wishes and curses even. The Mars Pallas Athena sextile is two fighting energies. Mars is war, full-blown bloody war, and Pallas Athena is defense. So stop war and try to defend yourself. The Jupiter-Saturn sextile is the perfect balance, how to create perfect balance, which is always necessary in any kind of relationship. And the two Pluto aspects, Pluto, Pallas Athena, and Pluto, dark moon Lilith, is again interesting, because Pluto dark moon is about how you can actually transform completely the curse. And Pluto, pulse of Athena, is how you can transform your energy into true wisdom. This is the pattern of today. I mean, this year's Valentine's Day. Celebrate it with a loved one. Have fun. Have have beauty, fun, and joy in your life, because physical reality is something that is filled with those. And human existence, the main reason for human existence should be that. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.